people. Hope you guys are doing great. This is my last video for the day, but it's a dandy one. No worries. So sit down tight, and enjoy the show. Right. Before I start, don't hesitate. Please press that subscribe button and that like button because I'm pretty sure you're gonna have a good one. What we're gonna talk about today is pretty simple. We want that John Jones fight. The John Jones versus Francis Ngannou. We want that fight, right? All over social media, they say it's not possible because the two guys are in different promotion, right? But we want that fight. So, to what extent? What are we ready to do to be able to have that fight? To be honest with you, I would just say, man, let's boycott those motherfuckers. Let's boycott the UFC. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the UFC. Let's boycott the UFC. It's pretty simple because at the end of the day, right now, from what I've seen, and until proven otherwise, they are the one that are not ready to make the move. The PFL on their side, they made that move. They made that proposal, saying that let's do a co-promotion and let's have those guys fight in a co-promotion. Francis Ngannou against John Jones. But the UFC, Dana White, kind of cold feet, doesn't want to do it. Maybe he doesn't trust his paper champion. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't trust Boneless Jones. I don't know. The point that I want to make here, right, is that all over the place we're hearing that that fight can't happen because these two guys are in different promotion. Journalists are saying that. Everybody's saying that. And all that we see right now, right, is that the matter is transferred to social media where you have people kind of two camps. The UFC Jones camp, the PFL Francis Ngannou camp, right? And those two kind of camp are butting head on social media, saying that, oh, it's Francis Ngannou who's betrayed the UFC, who, is not a good guy, he's greedy and all that stuff. And on the other side, right, you got John Jones who's trashing everybody, who's running, who's going after everybody like a madman on social media, going crazy, right? And the fans are always also getting at it, right? Being in those different camps. Right. But when you think about it, guys, when you think about it, who are the losers? Who are really the losers? Dumb, 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 dumb. Who are really the losers? Dumb, dumb, dumb. It's us. Like right now, we're being distracted. We're being distracted. People trying to polarize our attention towards that feud between Jones or the UFC and Ngannou and PFL and all that. We're being distracted because at the end of the day, all that everybody wants, whether you are on the PFL Ngannou camp, kind of, or the UFC Jones camp, all we want is to see that fight. That's the bottom line. And like Chelsonen was saying the other day, he was saying they are prize fighter, right? And we can see they're a prize fighter. They get a lot of money. They win a lot of money, right? Man, they buy cars, big cars, 287,000 cars, big houses, tens of millions houses, and so on and so forth. Right? They're living the good life, right? They are prize fighters. But at the end of the day, guys, think about it. Who are paying those guys? Yeah? Is it Dana White paying these guys? Is it, I don't know who from the PFL side paying those guys? I don't think so. At the end of the day, we are the one making that business run. We are the one putting our money, right, to buy those seats in the arenas. We are the one paying those pay-per-view. We are the one again buying all these merchandising, right? It's us. I mean, all that you see here, the Lamborghini, it's us paying all this, right? And Can you believe that they don't want to give us a fight like one of the great fight of the last 10 years? They don't want to give us that fight while those two guys are still in their prime, and that the window for their prime is closing soon. That is unacceptable. That is unacceptable. They're prize fighters. Pay those guys. Pay those guys the money that they deserve, right? Because at the end of the day, you're not the one paying this money. We are the one paying this money, and we want to see that fight, right? So when you hear people outside of there saying that we are not able to have that fight, that's a freaking lie. They're able to make that fight. Tomorrow they're able to make that fight, right? And when they're talking towards them, it's like the fans don't exist. We don't exist, right? The only thing that we're doing is butting our heads on social media, right? And they're talking like we don't exist. And you know what? You want me to tell you like how they talk about us? Okay, let me tell you how they talk about us. Oh, Dana White coming in the press conference. So today we had with a big smile, right? Because he's always eating his mouth like, right? Today we had a gate, 2 million or whatever. He made $10 million gate. Pum pum pum. We had 800,000 pay-per-view buys, so on and so forth, right? But bro, behind those numbers, right? There are people buying those seats, right? When you're talking about those numbers, there's ordinary people working hard to buy those seats, right? You understand that? Saving their money to buy those seats. There are ordinary people saving their money to buy those pay-per-view, right? But what do you hear? Just numbers. We are just numbers. Another example. Oh, I have 500,000 followers. I have 200,000 followers. Bro, there are people behind those numbers. And you need to start respecting those people. And you need to start respecting those people and give us what we want. Right? Because at the end of the day, it's us that are making that business run. No one else. Right? If the UFC is in the position that they are right now, is because people are buying their product. As simple as that. Whether the product is good or bad, people are buying that product, and it's the money that these people are putting in there that are making that business run and flourish, right? So the least they can do, right, is give us that fight and not neglect us. And if they don't understand, I do believe that at one point people have to take a stand, right? If they don't understand, people have to take a stand and make their demands heard. Because at one point, you're not asking anymore. You demand. You demand that you get that fight, right? So I'm going to say it like this, guys. Why is it worth that people are butting head while we all want the same thing at the end of the day? You can still remain a fan of the UFC. You can still remain a fan of the PFL, but we can still have that fight. Now, what's happening is that the PFL did propose to the UFC, let's do a co-promotion and let's give the people what they want. That's what Dana White used to say. We are giving the people the fight that they want with the people that are in their prime, not unlike boxing, right? So give the people what they want. The PFL has made that step. They are ready to do that co-promotion. But from the UFC, crickets. They don't want to do it. Right? They don't want to do it. Why? I don't know. They don't want to do it. But at the end of the day, the fans, what they want, they all want the same thing. They want that fight. So what are we ready to do? What can we do? Because we know that we are the one giving Jake Paul these freaking Rolls Royce, that Lamborghini over there, that house. We are feeding those guys, right? So what are we ready to do to get our demand, to get our voice heard and get what we want? What extent? Look at this, right? And they're not ready to give us what we want. So what are we ready to do? What I'm going to say is that at one point, words are words, right? At one point, action speaks louder than words. Action speaks louder than word. And I do believe, right, that the best way to make people understand that the fans are serious, that the fans are angry, and that we shouldn't take the fans for granted and we shouldn't take the fans hostage because there's kind of a ego trip and a market trip between the UFC that maybe doesn't want to lose market share or stuff like that, or we don't give a damn about that, right? All we want is that fight. That's what we want, that fight. So we don't want to be taken for granted, right? So we want that fight. So I mean, at one point, action speaks louder than words, and I do believe that if the UFC is not moving, that we should boycott them. We should boycott the UFC, and I already started. To be honest with you, used to buy pay per view. I'm not buying pay per view anymore. We should boycott those guys. It's as simple as that, right? Look at the money that these guys. Look at the house that they're having. Who is paying for that? Who is paying for all this? It's us. It's us with our little money, with our sweat and tears. We are paying for that, right? So the least they can do is to give us that fight. And if they don't give us that fight, I do believe that we should boycott their ass. We should boycott the UFC. Definitely, we should boycott the UFC. That's my take on that, guys. You let me know what you think. I do believe that these are things that have been already proven to work. I do believe that people should get together and pull all in one direction and force the UFC to do that co-promotion. Right now, the PFL is up to it. They want to do it, right? And we should force the UFC to do that promotion. We should force the UFC to give us that fight. And I believe you and me, it's going to be making numbers that you've never seen. I do believe that everyone wants to see that fight. Everyone wants to see that fight. Right? Me first. So if the UFC is not moving, let's just boycott their ass. Let's boycott their ass, guys. Let's boycott the UFC. So tell me what you think. I'm very, very interested to know what you guys are thinking. Bye, guys. Have a good one.